Welcome back to Impulse Investors. We're the channel who give you crypto and stock picks every month. And one of the crypto picks we've given in the past has been Popsicle Finance, and this one hasn't done so well. So today's video is to actually address this and to tell you actually what's happened with this, and do we see the price going up, and what are we actually going to do with our holdings in Popsicle Finance. So stay tuned for more of this information. So I'm going to start off by talking about Popsicle Finance's chart. And Popsicle Finance started off at $4.5. It had an initial burst of energy, as most new tokens do, and then it wavered off and it stabilized at about $2. It then crashed due to a hacking incident, and the hacking incident was on the Fragola pools. Fragola, it was the place in Popsicle Finance, or is the place in Popsicle Finance, where you can stake liquidity pairs and earn massive APY. So it was an attractive platform at the time, and it's still an attractive platform now. But it was completely emptied out in August 2021. So a lot of those people who had invested in Popsicle Finance had lost trust, and they built trust back slowly by doing new audits and then slowly launching the pools back again. And since then, they have actually paid back those who were affected by the hack as well, and they've expanded their platform. They've done so much. For example, now you can buy ICE on the Polygon chain, and you can also stake liquidity pools on the Polygon chain. So that's just one example of what the things they're doing, and so the price reflected that as it hit an all-time high of about $62 in November 2021. But since then, as you can see, it's lagged back down. But more recently, there has been another incident which has caused ICE to crash. So the recent dip with Popsicle Finance is less to do with Popsicle Finance and what it's doing, and it's more to do with Wonderland. Now, why would Wonderland affect Popsicle Finance? Now, the reason for that is because the dev of Popsicle Finance is also involved with Wonderland, and also Popsicle Finance has actually partnered with Wonderland with an NFT project. So that's why there's a slight relationship with Popsicle Finance and Wonderland. And the Wonderland performance recently has been disastrous. So it was 10,000 at one point, and now it's only worth $338. So you can see the price has dipped considerably. Now, before I go into detail about what has caused Wonderland's price to crash, I want to first talk about what Wonderland is, and so you can get a bit more understanding. So I'm going to show you a dashboard, a Wonderland dashboard, and this is the APY when you stake Wonderland. So it's promising you an 82,000 APY, which basically means that 822 times your £1 is one token would be equal to 822 tokens in a year's time. But that also means that if your token would, for some magical reason, stay the same price, the money you put in will be worth 822 times more in a year's time. Now, that's not how these projects generally work. You generally see the price getting deflated over time because they're offering you such a ridiculous APY. Now, why would they produce a project like this, and why would anyone invest if the price will go down over time? And that's because of the APY. And what the project tells you is that the more people that are attracted to this platform, the more people are pumping in money, the better chance there is of it keeping the same price of it or it going up. So essentially, it's the more demand there is, the higher chance of the price stabilizing or not crashing. And it works best in a bull market. But they also, when you put your money into this, they also leverage it. So they may leverage it in different cryptocurrencies like ICE or Magic Internet Money. And that means that if, so for example, they 10x leverage it on the long, if the price of ICE crashed to half, the money they used to leverage might be liquidated. And liquidated is basically it's reached the price where it's basically worthless. So the utilization of the money of someone's staked money has basically disappeared. So there are massive risks, as you can see, to this project now, and that's why when you look back at the chart, that crash here, it looks less unusual than it would before you understood the context of that. So if people understand this concept and the fact of time going down over time because of this inflationary value, why would that impact ICE? That's because there's more to the story than just that. And recently, Sifu, who is the dev for Wonderland, was discovered to be a massive financial criminal, and I'm going to talk more around this. So let's go to one of the news articles which reported this. So here we go. So the pseudo treasurer of Wonderland and co-founder of the crypto exchange Quadriga CX, known as Sifu, started laundering his funds through coin mixer tornado crash, according to on-chain data. So this is a story about Sifu, the dev for Wonderland, and basically in the past he owned this exchange in Canada called Quadriga CX, which went bust. And lots of people lost their money because of that exchange going bust. And he went to jail for loads of years. And we've just now found out that time token, the dev for that is someone who was a massive sort of financial criminal in the past. So that's gonna cause panic, of course. And this article is then speculating that Sifu has somehow manipulated Wonderland and has cashed out 5.5 million worth of ether through that. So that's what they're speculating. Whether this is true or not, it's not been confirmed, or there's no evidence behind that. So what did Daniel, the dev of Popsicle Finance and who is also part of Wonderland, say about this? Let's go onto his Twitter page to find out a bit more. So we go back to 27th of Jan, I think, is when he starts talking about it. So he says, today allegations about our team member Sifu will circulate. I want everyone to know that I was aware of this and decided that the past of an individual doesn't determine their future. I choose to value the time we spent together without knowing his past more than anything. So he's saying that it's okay for a criminal to work with a criminal, essentially. And that was his first bad move. He said many people in the world are judged by their earlier mistakes. This comes prevalent into life, blah, blah, blah. And he says one of the reasons blockchain technology and DeFi is so powerful is that it has no bias to your past. So he continually tries to back up Sifu, and that was a mistake in my opinion, because he's saying it's okay to have a criminal work for a project like Wonderland, and he's not outing him. So that also makes the reputation for Daniel, it dents his reputation, and therefore it dents the reputation of ICE. So that's what he starts off at. Then he starts to track back a little bit further on. So he talks about some life threats that he's had, and he also puts a vote out to remove Sifu as treasury manager. And eventually that vote gets passed and Sifu is removed as the treasury manager. And then after that, he goes on to say that he doesn't see a future for Wonderland because where does he say that? So I do not agree about continuing this experiment, the experiment being Wonderland. So he's saying that Wonderland is finished. And and he said this before the vote is out, so the vote was whether to carry on Wonderland or not. And eventually, on the 31st of Jan, the vote comes in as Wonderland will continue. And then Daniel, after that, says he will try his best to basically up the reputation of Wonderland and bring it back to where he believes it should be. So what about Popsicle Finance? What have they done to calm investors' nerves? So let's go onto the Discord page for Popsicle Finance, and these are the most recent announcements. So on the 27th of January, they said the only affiliation between Popsicle Finance and Wonderland is through the Frog Nation. Teams are separate. Our smart contracts and treasury are led by other multi-signers. Since then, they posted a Medium article, and let's look at what they said there. So they're now clarifying the misconceptions. We'd like to start saying, while both projects, Wonderland and Popsicle Finance, are important of the Frog Nation, the Frog Nation is different projects which are led by Daniele Sesta. So that's the Frog Nation, and we had a collaboration trying to get the Solid Swap NFT. There was no other direct link between Wonderland and Popsicle Finance. Sifu ETH has never been in management of Popsicle Finance strategy. No transactions were ever sent directly or indirectly to Sifu.eth. No treasury funds were ever managed by him. So here we can see that they are basically saying you don't need to worry what's going on with Wonderland. It's none of our business. They're not related to us. The only thing that's related is the dev is part of Wonderland. So Popsicle Finance has done well to try and calm the nerves down for investors. So after knowing all this, what to do next? So I want to first tell you that I personally haven't touched my Popsicle Finance funds. And the reason for this is I wanted to actually understand what was going on before I made any panic movements. Now, that's not me saying that everything is hunky-dory here. Obviously, I didn't want the value of Popsicle Finance to crash as far as it did, but that's what's happened. And I'm hoping that it will recover back to more respectable value over the course of time as they build their reputation again, as they did when the hack happened. So my personal opinion is hold your Popsicle Finance. Don't panic about it, but also know that DeFi is high risk, and I'm not going to give you any guarantees that it won't crash any further. But I think personally there's a higher chance. There's a higher chance of it going up here than going down. I mean, that's pretty obvious from the information that I have discussed today. And just to prove it to you that I am not just talking out of my arse, I'll show you my Popsicle Finance holdings. So I am currently participating in the Polygon liquidity pools. As you can see, I've got Matic USDC, I've got USDC WETH, and as well as that, I'm holding a farm position of ICE and WETH. So that's my ICE WETH. I've also staked some tokens on the ETH chain, and you do that by switching ICE to NICE. And if this loads quick enough, it will show you what my positions are. So I want to go to stake, and there you go. You can see that I have 121 NICE staked here. So yeah, and I said, where do I see Popsicle Finance going? So my prediction would be that let's go back to the chart. It's gonna probably sort of at least head back up to where it was before, about $25 in the future, if not more. But in the sort of short term, that's where you want to see it going. and that's a 5x from here. So I would hold on to funds if you've already invested. And what about Wonderland? Do we think we can nibble into Wonderland? Now, I think this is a more risky one, but one of the factors that would have made it even more risky if Sufu was still the treasurer, and he's no longer the treasurer. So that makes this project a little bit more attractive, although I would be very wary of this project. And don't expect the value of what you bought the token to go up, because as I said, it's massively inflationary. It's got an APY of 82,000. So don't expect the value of the token to go up. The value of the token will go down. That's sort of an almost guaranteed fact. Whether it goes down at the same rate as you get your APY, or whether it goes down at a slower rate than it gets to then you get your APY, that's the factor you need to take into consideration. And personally, I wouldn't invest too much into it. But if you want to nibble a little bit, yeah, put maybe 0.5% of your portfolio, or even less than that. But I wouldn't risk too much in such a project. Is my personal opinion. So guys, hopefully you found that useful. We want to be transparent with everything that we recommend, as well, both negative and positive news. And this is one which is a bit of a negative news story of something that we recommended. But hopefully you found it insightful and you know what to do next with Popsicle Finance. And if you enjoy our videos, please like and subscribe, and we will be back very soon with another stock pick of the month. So stay tuned for that.